Why don't you introduce yourself to the people at home that do not know your background?
So I am a retired award-winning star.
Okay.
I also used to work as a high-class male companion, servicing wealthy business ladies, shall we say. And prior to that, I was also in the swingers scene as a single guy, as what you would call a bull in that scene. And now I've given up that life of degeneracy, and I kind of pull on that experience of performing under pressure in sexual scenarios, and I help guys, help just the average dude, to overcome things like performance anxiety, erectile dysfunction, the big one, premature ejaculation. I teach them how to please their woman, teach them how to get them off. And yeah, because of that, I'm able to help men, women, couples all over the world, and actually, contribute to society in a positive way now.
What was being an escort like? Like, I didn't even know women got escorts.
Yeah, but it's typically women who are mid-30s, career women.
Okay.
Have a hard time finding love, or have a hard time finding the kind of guy they want to be with, settling down with them. Because the guy they want to be with is chasing tail of like the 18, 19, 20-year-old secretary. My job was to kind of be that perfect fantasy of like the combination between like a gentleman, but still quite sexually deviant behind closed doors, right, to give them that fantasy they wanted.
Did you ever have women that were married?
All the time.
And why did they tell you that they hired you?
They never really would tell me why they hired me. It's like verbatim, like, I hired you for this. It was more of a case of them. They would talk about the problems they had with their husband, how the marriage was sexless, how the passion had gone, things like this.
Do you find that sexless marriages are typically the choice of the woman or the guy?
That's a tough one.
Like, you have to be an expert in that topic. Like, what contributes to that?
Yeah, I think for the clients I was seeing, I think were probably like an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Based upon what I hear from guys who study my material, like my YouTube, my email list, all that sort of stuff, I'd say it's more the case of the woman, like, her lust isn't inspired by her man anymore, because he's kind of taken a back seat. He's kind of coasting through the relationship. Like, when you have the honeymoon phase at the beginning of a relationship, both of you want to tear your clothes off. It's great, and that energy comes from both sides. But eventually, guys will get kind of complacent, fall into a habit and a routine, and that's when you kind of stop seducing each other, right? Because if you're not the kind of guy who's going to inspire that lust out of her in the first place, she's going to be less sexual towards you, so he's going to try not as hard, and it's going to slowly degrade to nothing. So it sounds a bit harsh just trying to put all the burden of responsibility on the guy, but that's life as a guy, I think. And so I would say it's, for the most part, it's down to the guy to make sure that stays there. Now, if she's getting fat and not, no, I'm serious.
Right,
but
yeah.
if she's, getting out of shape or whatever, okay, well, he has to, let's say, inspire a little bit of jealousy in her to make sure that she stays on track. Because otherwise, like, if she's complacent, and she'll get complacent when she thinks that her man has no sexual options at all, when he's not a guy who women want to flirt with, or he gets attention from women, well, she ain't gonna really put any. Why does she gotta put any effort in?
Right.
She's getting her into the bargain met, right?
Yeah.
House is paid for, mortgage is paid for. She can, do her things or whatever. It's a balance. Both sides need to have incentive for it to work.
What was being a swinger like? You had like a girlfriend you would do that with?
No,
or?
so I was what you would call a bull, is the technical term. So I'm like the dude who comes in and like bangs another dude's wife in front of him.
They sign up for that?
Very well. Oh my god. I've not been putting this energy out into the universe to be fair, deliberately.
Okay.
In the last 2 weeks, in my DMs, I've had about 5 different proposals from married women asking or sliding in my DMs, like, and their profile photo is like them with their husband.
Okay, because I always thought of swingers as like parties or something.
That is another big part of it, yeah.
Okay, but you did it, so how would they find you?
I would go to parties and stuff, and I would also get invited to like, a couple's house, and he would sit in the corner and watch while.
Did he enjoy that?
They always enjoy themselves. Yeah, they
guys like
they fetishize it. Yeah.
Like, actually, or is he just saying that?
Very often it's the dude's idea to get another dude in to bang his wife. Very often.
Like, what is the psychology behind that?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. But I wouldn't personally. I'm not into that.
Yeah.
Like being on that end of the
Yeah.
equation. It's all like sexual fantasies and kinks. To me at least, they seem to be derived from just an exposure to more and more like perverse or different things. Like, for example, I don't think anyone starts like their life off with like the fetish of being a cock. It has to be something that is built on after like years of consuming like graphic material. I honestly can't think of another way for that to like manifest.
Oh.
I don't see that because there's no
So you think it's
there's
like
no biological
it's
part
like a
of it.
deviation because of consumption.
It must, not just that fetish, but
Yeah.
I think basically all fetishes and kinks have to be, to a degree. With the one exception I'll probably make to that rule is general BDSM, more specifically like the dom sub dynamic, because I think that is fundamentally more in line with like our actual biological roles as men and women, right? So that at least makes sense in the sense like, okay, why would a woman wanting to be like tied up and spanked kind of makes sense from like the biological perspective, like men are stronger than women and thus they fantasize about stronger men, right? Other things like like leather fetishes, cuckold fetishes, all this kind of stuff. It's I at least have not come across any other way of kind of explaining their origins. Adam 22, from what, because I saw the stuff that was happening before with like the Jason Love thing and that. This guy ain't an idiot.
Yeah.
This guy's a marketer.
Right.
Like, you cannot convince me that he does not know what he's doing.
Yeah.
When it comes to like going viral like that, because he knows that a whole bunch of people like you, for example, are going to engage with it.
I will.
You will.
I will. Yes, I will.
So he knows it's going to get engagement, because like there's no such thing as bad publicity, right? Like.
So what do you think about couples that do OnlyFans together?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like I used to be in the industry. I used to kind of participate in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you didn't have like I don't think you had a wife and a child.
I dated a few girls in the industry during my time.
Yeah.
A big part of that, to be fair, was networking ability. Because like if you're the boyfriend of like star, she will recommend you to like every director and you'll get more work. So to a large degree, that is like a business relationship. Still friends with a bunch of couples who do that, who still create like OF stuff or they're couples, they're two couples, whatever, and they're on set every day shooting with other people. It's not for everyone, that's for damn sure. Sure as hell not for everyone.
And you think they can make it work?
They do. To this day, they're still together. All the ones I know are still doing fine.
Really? How long has it been that they're together for?
It's a combination of a few different things. I mean, there's one couple that comes to mind right now. They've probably been together for at least 4 years. There's another couple I know where she's a star and he's just a regular Joe. They've been together. They've been married for like at least 8 years.
What do you think about those stars that are women like Lana Rhoades, Mia Khalifa, that come back later and say they were coerced into it?
The coercion is a load of shit. This whole idea in general, because there's a big misconception about the industry, or at least I'll clarify, the professional industry. So like, this is prior, like OnlyFans has kind of blurred and muddied the waters here a lot.
Yeah.
But prior, because OnlyFans has only been around for like 5 years. So prior to that, you had professional, which is basically like shooting for any of these big studios you might find on like tube sites, right? That is an incredibly professional industry. Like loads of like consent forms, model releases, paperwork. It's all professional, all done above board, right? You do not get into that industry by being coerced.
Right.
Like every agent I know in LA, they don't have to recruit. They are inundated with applications from women. All the agents.
Wow.
They have to cull. They have to go through their inbox every day and be like, no, she's cute enough. No, she's got the right attitude. No. Like, they're not out there like in the seedy underbelly of like the human trafficking area trying to recruit girls. Yeah. I'm talking mainstream porn. That is not the case.
Do you think porn is a net good or net negative?
Net negative. Easily a net negative.
Is that weird having that opinion, being that, how long did you do porn for? 5
years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Is it weird having that opinion, having done it?
Yeah, it's a bit weird because I look at the way I look at it now is like, I can't regret having done it, because if I hadn't have done it, I wouldn't have been in a position to like have learned a bunch of stuff to help guys, like biohacks and things like that I'd learned from like older veterans of the game, like what to eat, what supplements to take, like how to exercise, all this sort of stuff I had to learn in order to be able to teach it to the average guy to help his sex life. So I can't regret it like that. The way I look at it now is like I'm just trying to make up for like the damage I did.
Okay.
Because it's not like the only context you might be able to argue that like kind of good is to like for couples to watch to kind of like spice things up a bit again, and they were like watching it together and like kind of creating a fantasy and redirecting that sexual energy into their relationship. But in general, like especially like internet pornography, man, like that is horrific. It's on every kid's phone, like easily accessible. The average guy today has seen more naked women than like Genghis Khan would have seen in his lifetime.
Right.
The male brain isn't really made for that level of sexual exposure, I don't think. It's a dangerous thing we're playing with.
Like, what are the biggest problems that guys come to you with?
Well, one of the first things I teach guys, going back to your previous point, is to not watch.
Okay.
I'm very, very adamant. I want to make sure that's very, very clear. I tell every guy, cut that shit out, right? Because it can be something that really drags you back with a lot of these are the problems that guys come to me with. So two of the most common ones are either erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation. Those are two very, very common ones. And probably the third more common one is how do I get my woman off? Like how do I get her to orgasm in this position or that position? Or like some kind of a more technical, mechanical kind of a question like that.
What can men do to maintain attraction in their relationships?
Be aware of the masculine and feminine polarity. So what I mean by that is women want to feel feminine. Women want to be in that more, let's say, submissive role in the bedroom. And I would say outside the bedroom. I think the bedroom's like a microcosm for what goes on outside the relationship. Like I've had guys, for example, who I've taught how to be a bit more of a dominant, passionate lover. And then they'll email me back like a month later and be like, oh, she's cooking and cleaning again. She's not nagging about taking the trash out.
Really? So you think that what happens in the bedroom is like kind of a symbol almost for what's going on in the relationship, or it reflects it?
Yeah, it reflects it. The outside reflects the inside of the bedroom. So like if the relationship dynamic in the bedroom is like polarized like that, she's gonna feel like he's an actual man. If she is the one who has to like lead sex, if he's constantly like begging for her to initiate sex, taking like the supplicative role, she's not going to respect that, man.
Have you ever had a guy that was in a super disrespectful, like maybe she was leading relationship, and you actually got him to turn it around? Because I've heard like two schools of thought. I've heard one school of thought that if a relationship starts that way or it's gotten to that point, you just need to start over. Like there's no fixing it. And then, I've heard people say that you can maybe turn it around. So what's your take on that?
I would. The first thing I'd probably ask the guy is like, okay, are you married and are there kids involved? Because if there's kids involved and they're married and stuff, it's like, look, I'm not going to tell the guy to like end the marriage.
Yeah. I'm
going to say, look, this is going to suck and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while. But okay, maybe we should start with these little things in the bedroom, just not going all full out, but like little stuff, and then we'll see over time. Maybe we can start to steer this better in the right direction. I have had at least one guy who's kind of from like a long term relationship has managed to adjust the dynamic he had. But typically, if there's not kids involved and they're not married and stuff like that, I'll just say, mate, just leave her, get a new girl.
How did you get connected to the Tates?
Through Twitter, of all things.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Tristan started talking on Twitter. Had Tristan on my YouTube channel, interviewed him a while back, and then me and Andrew started chatting, and then I met up with him in Vegas. They were putting on an event in Vegas in 2021. They invited me along. That same night, I met them. I also met Justin Waller.
Yeah.
A few other guys who I'm still friends with to this day in this one sort of event. Really, really, really cool night. Yeah, and then we hung out in a bunch of different countries together. Had a bunch of fun times, and yeah.
You have a course coming out soon, don't you?
I actually have a supplement line.
Oh, supplement
line coming out right now. I've been, like I said before, my background is chemistry. I was actually a published scientific author before I even graduated.
Oh, wow.
Oddly enough. Yeah, most people don't know that. And so for the last 12 months, I've basically been formulating effectively like a supplement based around what I used to take every day before I would go shoot a scene, in order to make sure I was like ready to rock and roll consistently, like on command. So that's something I've been working on for the last 12 months. I've finally found a really good American manufacturer to crank it out. Very, very happy with it. And yeah, it's cool. If you go to clubhousesupplement.com, that's where you'll find that stuff.